Hello, hello. Let's cozy up. Ouch. And let's have a talk, a little chat. I'm still trying to, because I have so many things I want to discuss, and I'm still trying to find the flow. So today I do have an outline, but I feel like this is going to be part of an ongoing series. So I just wanted to break the ice and start talking about it. I'm not quite sure I was able to put my thoughts to gather everything I want to talk about. Because let's be real, if I do this, we'll be here all week long. So I think we'll tackle this in different section. You're probably feeling the mood is a little bit different today. It's probably that Scorpio energy. I did let you know Scorpio was gonna be challenging, and our challenge is to ride the wave. And I don't know how you're catching this podcast episode. If you're watching it on video, then you see me. At least we have some positive energy. I'm on camera looking like a bumblebee, all dressed in yellow everything, and all the colors in the rainbow. However, the topic is gonna be a little bit more serious, but this is something that's been on my mind for a long time, which is why are we struggling to hold space for one another like this? Um, I think about these things a lot, and I do think we need to have those conversations, right? It's just, I feel like we keep on talking about loneliness and all of these things, but we don't realize how we're all contributing to that overall loneliness with all of these behaviors. So if you do it, let's say let's say if I do it, I'm behaving in a very self-centered way, and then you do it, you behaving in a very self-centered way, not really taking the time to check on the person next to you, on your friends, your coworkers, etc. I do it, the person next to us do it. Soon that's what the collective is. The collective is not this mystical idea, of mystical energy that has nothing to do with you. The collective is me, it's you, it's all of us, it's all of these things that we do on a daily basis, and that pretty much slowly shapes the the collective energy, the community, the the energetic of the whole group. It's like, whoa, staff, what's going on? Right away, we're diving into the deep. This episode is pretty much gonna be me talking out loud, me thinking out loud. And here we go. I'm already digressing already. This is not at all what I had written on my outline today. So let's go back to the outline. Why is it so hard for us to simply be present with each other, with one another? If you notice in the podcast, I talk a lot about loneliness because I'll be straight up honest. This is something that I kind of struggle with. And and it always feels like everyone else is just, I don't know, like people just pretend like they can't relate, or they give you the sad pity face. It's not something that I'm not the person who's just like being a Debbie Downer, who is just like constantly being like bringing this, oh, I feel lonely. No, I don't do that. I'm just sharing that for like context, right? But you could still feel it even when you don't bring it up. You could still feel, because I remember like back then I would have friends in a relationship, and they would just look at you with such pity, or ask you, oh, have you found someone yet? Oh, it's been so long, why aren't you dating yet? And there was always that heavy pity through their eyes, which is ironic because I was in a relationship before for like a decade and a half, and I still would feel that in a relationship also. So it's not like loneliness is only something that is reserved for peasants, for people who are like single, or things like that. I think it's just something that comes with the human experience. So all this to say that this is something that we all need to talk about, because I think we all, I'm not here coming to, to bash, blame others. I feel like this is something that we all should take a collective responsibility for and just try to do our best to do better. That way we can change the global consciousness around that. Here we go again. I digress. Back to the script. So we talk a lot about, I have my notes here. Otherwise, listen, I don't want this to be like 3 hours long. We talk a lot about empathy and connection, but we rarely practice it. This is where I'm so grateful for Kabbalah also, because I feel like I've been using Kabbalah a lot to find grounding. Yes, to understand a bit more of this crazy matrix madness that we live in, but also to find grounding and to kind of like use it as a way to change my life. If this is the first time you're coming in and you wonder what the hell is Kabbalah, it's pretty much, I like to think about it as a seed level wisdom, which pretty much explains to you the rules of the universe and how everything works, from money, abundance, to everything, how everything in life is cause and effect. So everything we do, we reap the rewards of pretty much, all of our actions, either positive or negative. It's pretty much explaining to you how life works. It doesn't matter whether you believe or you don't believe. It's it's I like to say the sea level, because pretty much a lot of the newer spirituality stuff would pretty much be a reiteration of the same concepts, right? It's like we're all saying the same things using different words, different covers, different. So right, and no, it's not a religion. It's not a religion. It's spirituality and pretty much explaining how everything works. So I also I also try my best to leave a link down below. So if that's something that you feel to pull, I really do encourage you to go click on the link. It's the Kabbalah.com or One Kabbalah website if you wanted to take the Kabbalah One course. I'm not affiliated or anything. There's no affiliation. This is not, it's just really because I really do believe that the world would be such a better place if we were all aware of what is going on and we could all, show up in life with that level of consciousness. So back to the topic at hand. We all talk about empathy and connection, but we rarely practice it. And the reason why I brought up Kabbalah is because the problem is when we're too selfish and we're too self-focused and we're just trying to grab everything and being, we want to receive, receive, receive for our sake, for our selfish needs. This is when everything tends to get out of balance. So we need to kind of like bring back the emphasis on sharing with the others, with the others around us, bringing empathy, caring for another. And I think this is why I think why this is why there's so much pain. We're so out of balance. We're just like, no one seems to care. Well, I'm making a big overgeneralization also, but don't take my words literally. Like when I say no one cares, okay? But it's just like there's a lack of care. And especially when you have people that are lost in, well, people that are in relationship, it's just, it becomes, life just becomes so much smaller. It's only about, them and their partner, or them, their partner, their kids. I mean, which is amazing, but we need to do our best to care about our community as a whole. It's not just about, if you are in a relationship, it's not just about your relationship unit. Like no one can, first of all, one person can't give you everything. So it's actually safer, it's better for us to really keep caring about the others. Even if you're in a relationship, check on your friends, check on your, yes, we're busy. We're all busy. That's the problem. I feel like that busyness is just becoming the excuse of the century. I'm busy. I'm busy. Yeah, but who isn't busy? But somehow we make time for the things that we care about, and somehow people have time to scroll on Instagram. People have time to scroll on Instagram. If we check there, I didn't pull up any stats to back this up, but I've heard some crazy stats, like the iPhone or whichever app, whichever phone you're using. Um, Nowadays almost all the phones have, like, there's a capacity. You can go check how much time you spend on whichever app. You can see how much time you spend on Instagram. Even on Instagram itself, I remember, I don't use Instagram anymore, but I remember you could tell how much time you spend on Instagram. So, and there's some crazy statistic that people spend hours and hours, yet somehow no one has time. So it's just something doesn't add up here. But then again, I know what's happening is just like we just almost don't want to deal with others. But then we need to realize that we don't want to deal with others because, again, it's easy to just go on Instagram, on TikTok, on whatever, and scroll and get that cheap entertainment that never feels enough, because then there's a reason why you keep going for more, right? But then we need to see the correlation. We're saying we don't have time. We're using social media at a crazy high rate. At the same time, we're complaining about loneliness. It's just something has to give. But I'm also acknowledging the collective fatigue. And, you know, we are fatigued, which is why I'm so passionate about encouraging people. I'm not saying you need to take it extreme like me and ditch social media, okay? That would be great. But I'm not like a dictator telling people, like, you need to do this. But really like this to be a gentle encouragement. This is why I'm so passionate about encouraging you to pay attention to your social media use, because you're giving up way much more than you realize. So there's a reason why we are fatigued like that. We are constantly being bombarded by ads. Honestly, when I go to extreme length not to see ads, to be honest. Talking about ads on my building, and you tell we are in the age of we literally just entered the age of Aquarius right now, or some people believe that we haven't entered it yet, but we're pretty much bordering. Everyone, pretty much, most like astrologers would acknowledge that we're bordering it, or we know we're at the beginning. So all this to say that things are going to move even faster. It's really like all about technology. It's going to move faster. Things are going to go quicker. You're going to be even more bombarded with information, more bombarded with ads. So this is the time where you cannot be super passive about it, because if you don't take ownership of your life, someone else will. And I'm not trying to be like super like alarmist and, conspiracist. This is not my style, but it's really encouraging people that we cannot keep living on autopilot. We need to be aware of certain things and really take the wheel. We need to You need to have a conversation with yourself and ask yourself, what type of relationship will you take with social media, and what boundaries will you maintain? That way you make sure that, you know those companies like Meta or whatever don't really, because if you don't really sit down and determine your own boundaries, trust me, before you know it, you would just be a zombie, right? And then now people can be like, all right, Stephanie, what's the big deal? Okay, fine. I watch all the ads. I spend 50 hours a day on Instagram. What's the big deal? Yeah, but last time I was on Instagram, I remember like almost every two posts was an ad. And the ads are getting louder and louder, and the ads are getting more ridiculous, and it's just absolutely insane. We're being bombarded by ads constantly pushing you to buy stuff, buy this, buy that. What's the big deal, Stephanie? Well, the big deal is we are fatigued now, because you are so overwhelmed and burnt, from all of this, constantly being exposed to that. Then we don't have any other bandwidth to give to things that actually matter, meaning our families, our friends, investing into social relationship that can actually support you, that can actually be fulfilling and purposeful. This is why I'm so passionate about this. This is why I keep encouraging people to be aware of how they spend their time online, and to really sit down and decide what their boundaries are going to be, how much time they want to spend online, how much time they're going to spend on social media, because it's a zero sum game. We have limited energy. By the way, on that, I do have a 5-day totally free training You can sign up for that. I'll leave the link down below. It's a 5 day, pretty much talking about how, you leaking energy everywhere and how to reclaim it. It's totally free and the link is down below because I think this is a major problem that we have right now. We believe we overestimate how much energy, how much fuel we have in the tank. And then we turn around and realize, oh my goodness, I'm burnt out. It's not only work that is burning you out, it's not your boss that is burning you out. Okay, I'm not here to dismiss anyone's experience. Yes, you might have a really hard job, but I'm just saying, beyond those things, those little daily, interaction that we have where we spend our energy, where we spend our attention, these things, I really do believe that they are the elephant in the room that often goes unnoticed, right? And so define what holding space really means. Well, I think I pretty much like talked about this, but let's dive into etymology and details. Holding space can mean creating emotional room for someone else without trying to fix them, without judging them, without rushing their process, right? So it's not really about having answers, about fixing someone. It's just about being grounded enough to witness them because us humans, we need mirroring. That's just part of how we're wired. And holding space for someone else allows for that healthy mirroring, right? And this is when we start feeling emotionally full, we start feeling seen, understood, happy. And then this is all things that can kind of ease off the loneliness issue that we are having. My own issue, like I said before, it's that this seems to be our society is set up in a way that it's just seems to be set up. It's like you can only receive that only in relationship, but it shouldn't be like that. We should be able to, yes, of course, value our relationships, our romantic relationship, but also it should be that like we can hold space for our community, our friends, our close friend, um, people like that, people, because like, I don't know, just like there's always that like, if we stop for a second and look around, there's always that one friend that kind of like is always there holding space for everyone else, but no one is there kind of like mirroring that back to them. So it's like the day, I don't know, today I'd really like us, all of us, to encourage, to kind of like do an audit and ask yourself, I'm doing the same thing, by the way. I'm not above, any of this. This is us. Like, you know, and really doing an audit and thinking, is there anyone else that is unnoticed? Like special attention to your friends. If you are in a relationship, special attention to your friends who don't have any relationship. They don't have any that built in. Like people like to say, oh, well, I'm in a relationship, but what's the big deal? I'm also this, I'm also that. Let's be for real. The relationship is kind of like the default, even if it's not a great relationship, but at least it still allows you have access to that person that you can, you had a rough day, you can go home and be like, oh well, you can, share the things that you went through. You had to go to the hospital, you have someone that is there to do the whole like, how was your day, how was your hospital and stuff like that. So this is today, I'm kind of like encouraging us to take this care outside of the relationship and see if you can extend your vessel, because I don't believe it's meant only to, we should only be giving love to our romantic relationship, because it's kind of, yeah, I don't think it should be that way. um so encouraging all of us to see, is there that one friend that could use your help today, and just reach out. Like if we all do this, the world would be such a better place. So why are we struggling? We're struggling because of emotional burnout. Most people are already running on empty because our plates are full with relationship, the nuclear family, kids, parents, job, health stuff, maintaining the body with, and at the same time, the little bit that's left, you know, we just squander it all around social media. And now I know people probably thinking, oh my God, this girl hates social media so much. I'm trying to be objective here. I do believe that social media is such a time sunk, to be honest with you. But anyways, a time sink, right? That's how you say it, I think. But anyways, I'm not here to judge or anything. Just people can spend their time however they want to spend it. I just want all of us to realize that our energy is limited. We don't have an unlimited tank with unlimited energy, because if we did, we wouldn't experience that burnout that everyone can easily experience at any moment. So we need to start being mindful about how we spread out the energy. Okay. We're struggling because we live in a distraction culture. We're not really listening to others to understand and hold space for others. We just on autopilot to reply, and we want to feel heard, but no one wants to do the hearing for others. It doesn't work that way because it needs to go in both directions, so there can be circuitry. There needs to be a full loop. And so if we all show up in life, if we all pledge to show up in life a little bit less selfish, honestly, and give a little bit more, the world would be such a better place already. Another reason is we have unhealed pain. We project our discomfort onto others instead of holding compassion, and also instead of just learning to sit in our own pain and just like I this is the reason why I keep saying the only way is through, right? So, but I feel like this is another topic. I should not bring this in this episode, otherwise it's going to be way way too long. And lack of modeling, perhaps. Few of us have actually seen what it means to to have it demonstrated to us. What is the healthy holding space for others? So I'm guessing a lot of us are figuring things as we are going. But if we just show up with the desire and the deep intention to just be there, be better friends for others, I think this is already amazing. It's an amazing, honestly. I think that would make me so super happy if we all started doing that. Because what happened is you just end up having these few people who are always reaching out, and then others who are kind of like taking but not remembering to kind of like fill fill it back up, fill back the well, put back energy in it. It's not just about taking. So I'm not gonna dive into stories today because I could stay here forever and ever. um yeah, I'm not gonna do any stories today because I feel like you guys can feel like the mood is probably off today. Usually I'm kind of like a really happy person. But it's just like I really do want to talk about more serious things. Everything I talk about is serious, even if it's happy stuff. But I also want to talk about the darker parts that like we don't often hear people talk about. I want to talk about those days where like those quote unquote struggle days. I do love this thing that all of my teachers are always saying in Kabbalah is reminding us all that there is always a lot of light, to be retrieved from darkness, and how the greatest darkness hold the greatest darkness holds the greatest light. Again, the greatest darkness holds the greatest light. I'm saying this because even if right now you feel like you're going through like a hard time, just hang in there and remember that you can make it through on the other side, and the other side, the gem that you will retrieve from that dark time will absolutely blow your mind, right? This is why I think I like the analogy of the diamond so much, because the diamond is made under extreme pressure. So we all need to remember that, and how we can all try to do better. And presence begins with regulation, not perfection. It's not about being perfect, right? So I just want to invite reflection. How often do we pause and sit in our own emotional state? Because we need to be able to do that so we can show up for others. And then by learning to hold space for ourselves, then we can also hold space for others. And right, because we all need to do better, honestly. This is just getting absolutely crazy. I feel like we're living in such an avoidance society where like no one wants to open up, no one wants to like acknowledge the other. We all just want to like pretend like we don't see, we don't care, and then just like being super self-centered. And then we go into relationships where we're just looking to take, which is not a great way to start a relationship anyways. It's like everything becomes like a self-serving, you know, like a self-fulfilling prophecy where it's just we're not getting the best outcome that we possibly could, right? So I don't want to end on a negative note. So what could we do about this? It's We should all strive to have mindset shifts, self-regulating before responding. Take a breather, ground your energy. When someone reaches out to you, you could do these things instead of just ignoring the person or ghosting the person and do all that stuff. And like I said, I'm not talking at you, I'm also including myself in this also, right? And we can all listen to understand, not to fix. Because most people are not looking for you to just fix their problem. They just want you to listen. They want to be seen, right? And also, we can practice releasing control. Again, we're not here to rescue anyone, right, from their own process, but we're here to all support one another through the process. And lastly, we can all practice compassion with boundaries. Of course, I'm always forever going to be a boundary queen, but also encouraging us to practice compassion. Being present doesn't mean carrying someone's pain, it just means giving them space to open up, witnessing them, listening. Honestly, often people just want to be heard, to be seen, not feel so invisible. So, to close, the world doesn't need more advice. We need more presence, more care, less selfishness, less self centeredness. And I really do believe that we can rebuild. I really do believe that we can all rebuild our capacity for connection, our capacity to hold space for one another. Just pick one thing in the list today and just try to practice it. Be mindful, pay attention to like your friends who looks like they could use a little bit of a help. And don't get fooled by that friend who always look like they have everything put together, you know? Hint, hint, is there any friend who is lonely, single, like doesn't have anything, no relationship, no kids, nothing, who's like they're alone? You could start like reaching out to them and right. I feel like we all can do better here. And I'd like to leave us with that question. When was the last time you felt truly held? And also because it's the same coin with two different sides, right? When was the last time you felt truly held? And also, when was the last time you held space for someone else? And again, don't forget, I do have that 5-day energetic reset, because I think a main problem is that we are leaking energy too many places and we don't have any energy left for the things that truly matter. So definitely do take that free training. The link is down below where you can sign up, and that will definitely help you. And also, as usual, you could book a birth chart reading with me. That way you can understand better how you can hold space for others, what you require to be more fulfilled, and all of that good stuff. And leave me a comment, by the way. I like this to be a two-way street, and you can leave me a comment. Of course, leave me like a 5-star review, and then leave your comment, your constatation or anything. I'm just gonna start throwing French words in this podcast, because sometimes I just can't find the English. English words aren't popping in my head. And right, so leave your comments and share your interpretation. You don't agree with what I say, you don't agree with anything I said, just leave the comments below, as long as it's respectfully down, we can all agree to disagree, and we can all share and exchange opinions. And I think this is how we grow and expand into like beautiful human beings. On that note, I will see you in the next one, and keep shining bright like a diamond. Don't forget to reach out to your friend. Bye, my loves.